This will be my final video on Tiffanie Ann Lucas, unless something dreadful happens to her during her stay in prison. Every now and then, I try to analyze certain cases that I cover, and Tiffany, she blamed what happened to her children on social media, Facebook, and Wi-Fi. She said she would have never done anything like this unless she was manipulated. I think Tiffany was starring in her own reality show. This right here is actually from her Facebook page. We all know by now that Tiffanie Ann Lucas, 32 years old, she shot both of her sons in the head. Jayden, 9 years old, and Maurice, 6 years old. She would shoot off 4 times within a 30-second period. However, she would later say that this was an accident. She pled insanity. But the biggest one was her blaming it on social media, blaming it on Facebook, blaming it on Wi-Fi. Tiffany was arrested on murder charges. Almost 1 year to the date of November 8th, 2023, Tiffany went for sentencing in an emotionally charged courtroom. I captured the conversations held in court of Maurice Jr. I believe that Jayden's father is deceased. However, he may have had support inside the courtroom for his side of the family as well. However, I do know that Maurice Sr., he spoke. He talked about how he was never allowed to see his son, how he would even call to speak to his son, and Tiffany wouldn't allow it. How he planned birthday parties, and Maurice Jr. was never allowed to attend. Maurice's grandmother and aunt, they vowed that they would never forgive, and the aunt said that she would be at every parole hearing in the future to make sure that Tiffany never gets out. Tiffany received 2 life sentences, followed by applause throughout the courtroom. They said that Tiffany was mainly emotionless, and the only time that she cried was to try to get sympathy from the judge. In 2016, Tiffany was a 25-year-old business entrepreneur who had just opened up her own store, Miss Tiff's One-Stop Shop. I do not believe that the boys were born yet, at least not the oldest, Jayden, who was 9 years old when he ended up passing away. So he would have been conceived at least a year after this, or around this time he was conceived. And unfortunately, the one-stop shop was closed as well.
Into Tiffany Lucas' background to find out more about her, we learned that she was once a business owner whom we interviewed actually in 2016. She had just opened Ms. Tiff's One-Stop Shop convenience store on West Broadway. We spoke with her 7 years ago about the impact as a young entrepreneur after Walmart pulled its plan to open a store in that same area.
A lot of people don't make their way down here, but if there's a Walmart, you know, you come out of the woodworks for Walmart. So probably would have brought a lot of people to, you know, stop and check us out.
Business records show her store closed in 2017. A year later.
What's up, y'all? We out here. Peanut. We're out here swimming. Me and the kids.
People become addicted to social media, and with any addiction, there are serious consequences. Remember, she said Facebook did this. Tiffany more than likely posted a lot. She wanted people to see her. She wanted people to see what she was doing. It made her feel good. Even when she was having sad moments, it had to be recorded. She felt like she was somebody when she was using Facebook. The somebodies that she watches is who she felt like she was, if that makes any sense. I strongly believe that, to a degree, Tiffany really thought that Facebook did this. Social media on a whole did this. She may have other social media platforms, but right now, I've only found her on Facebook. I don't really want to look for her anywhere else. Now, if you are my age and a little bit younger, a little bit older, you'll know that we can live without social media. If it's not bringing us an income, if it's not our present job, we can literally live without social media. If they was to stop social media right now, I would be okay with it. Now, social media was widely recognized in the early 1990s. I was in that feeling when my older friends was on it. I'd be like, oh my goodness, he's looking for a girlfriend on social media. It's where it just looked like words, like a word processor. It didn't look like much, but to me, it was embarrassing. It wasn't really accepted to start dating on social media until a little bit later. Now, August 1st, 2003, that's when MySpace came out. And I remember I had a MySpace. I think around that time I had a Black Planet also. I think. I can't remember if they were, parallel to each other, the MySpace and the Black Planet, but I do remember. And then everybody kind of migrated over to Facebook. And I remember thinking, I'm not going to Facebook. No. I was very content with MySpace. I love the fact that you can use you had the big back picture, which on mine, it was Janet Jackson. And the music that was playing was Prince. And I loved MySpace at the time. And then everybody was not on it. Everybody was like, you need to come over to Facebook. So that's when I went to Facebook. But if you are probably Tiffany's age, and she was 32 when she did all this, so if you're like 35 and younger, definitely 30 and younger, you have grown up on social media. This is pretty much all you know, unless you have parents that say, okay, you have to not spend that much time on social media. This is really all that you might know. I've seen people on Facebook crying, and they record themselves crying. Isn't that supposed to be a personal moment? I think it's supposed to be a personal moment, but people put everything out there. You see it. Everything is out there. From people's intimacy, that's why they have OnlyFans now. Everything is recorded. That's it. Everything. And it's shocking. It's embarrassing. And it really is sad that everything is being recorded. And behind this, a lot of mental health problems are happening. They really are. It's easy. There are people that are destroying their looks. And we've seen it where we say, oh, she was once pretty. But now look at her. Too much plastic surgery. Because monkey see, monkey do. They've seen other people do this, and they have to do it now, even though they were perfectly fine. Back in the day, yeah, people might have gotten a subtle nose job you might have known about, little small things, maybe even got their teeth fixed, which I think is okay if you do something like that. But it's like people they're really running wild with it. They are. And you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. We'll have to hit that another day. But a lot of mental health is added in that. Antisocial tendencies. Some people would rather be on these social platforms than interact with another person. There are people that don't even know how to interact with other people because they're so used to being behind a screen, have their phone in their hand. They don't know how to really interact with somebody else. If you go into a place like a waiting room to see the doctor, dentist office, whatever it is. But if you're sitting there and you put your phone away, there's a TV right there. There's magazines there, old school. But if you pull out your phone, everyone else will pull out their phones. Or if you see somebody pull out their phone, you'll look for your phone. It's monkey see, monkey do. I am so serious. It has really gotten out of hand. A lot of people have sleep problems behind social media. Oh, I can't go to sleep. My phone keeps going off. You control your phone. Your phone doesn't control you. I cut my phone off pretty much around 7 p.m. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. I don't want nobody calling me. I don't want to hear the little notifications because they can be annoying. And I make sure the two things I'm going to get out of life is good sleep, and I'm going to eat very well. Those are the two things I definitely am going to get out of life. But there's people that don't know how to balance social media. This is pretty much all they do. And I do think Tiffany was one of them. I'm not sticking up for her. I think what she did was awful, but I do think that it played a big role to a point. Everything. Maybe the withdrawal from her, the drugs that she was on, maybe that played a point too, where she was just a little bit more impatient. I mean, she had boys, she had sons, and they can be a bit much. When you have more than one child, they can be a bit much at times. We know that. Maybe that helped it. You ever heard people say they're going to detox off social media? That is a real thing. If they stick to it. Definitely if they stick to it. Sometimes you need to. It's just not healthy to be on there all the time. It's just not. And I'm going to say it again, Facebook is a fraud. 9 out of 10 times the things that people are saying and doing is not what they're saying and doing in real life. It's just not. 9 out of 10 times. It just really isn't. And I think Tiffany was really watching certain people, I just don't want to say their names, that do this all the time. The plastic surgery, the hair, the makeup. I think she was watching certain people, probably a few certain peoples. And this was probably why she felt it was social media. I don't know what she was doing after she lost a store in 2016. I don't know what she was doing for a living between that amount of time. I don't know why she got behind on her rent. I don't know why the utilities was off, but whatever she was doing, I would like to know if she stopped all of a sudden, because in my heart, I feel that Tiffany was planning this. I do. I think it was somewhat premeditated. I don't know if they mentioned that in court. I didn't follow the court case. I just saw, the clips on the news media of the loved ones that have lost these children. But I think she, maybe even subconsciously, I think she was planning this. I do. Okay, for instance, August 10th, okay, less than a month before she would murder her kids, she took them finger painting. They went to various restaurants, record. The one where they went to celebrate Halloween and they all dressed up. And the kids was having a fantastic time. You would think, wow, she is such a great mother. And at first I was like, I think she's doing this to maybe get back at one of her children's father. But now that I see more into it, it might have been a mixture of both. It really may have. But I think she actually was planning this. Do you guys remember the Timothy Pitson story? It happened in 2011, where I think the couple was estranged from one another and they were fighting over Timothy. And she went and took him out of school on a 3-day trip out of state, where they went to amusement parks, ate. They had a great old time. And she would end up back at that hotel room on CCC footage alone by herself, where she ended things for herself. Now, Timothy has never been found. There's been nutcases coming along and say that they are Timothy. Even has went so far to take DNA tests to find out that they were not Timothy, leaving this father not knowing what happened to her child. And this woman knows exactly what happened to him, but it was the get back for her. It's what she wanted. And a lot of times people feel like these children, they don't become children. They're not small humans anymore. They're property. And if you don't do what I say, or it's not going to go the way I want, I'm going to destroy the property. Yeah. So yeah, I definitely think that this was in her mind. I don't think it was an accident. I think that she probably does have some mental issues, most definitely. And I think that she probably felt scorn from Maurice's father, Junior's father, the one I believe she calls Peanut. I believe she felt scorn from him because the other father, I believe he passed away. This was get back for her. I honestly think that. They called her selfish. Junior's grandmother, she said, why didn't you just give me the boy? Why didn't you give them to us? That's what she said. She didn't want to. This was also some type of control for her as well. It was a lot going on with this woman, but mainly this was control. That family, Maurice Jr.'s family, I believe they would have took in Jayden as well. I honestly do that. I just really do. If for some reason nobody could have took Jayden, I believe so. They were brothers. They were brothers. I think that family would have. I believe it was the aunt of Maurice Sr. that asked, do you love them? I was trying to listen to hear what she said. I don't believe she said anything. Sometimes men and women, mothers and fathers, think that these kids are property. They do. The night before the shooting, so that would be November 7th, the neighbors said that they seen the kids outside. They were playing. They also said Tiffany was frantically cleaning the carpets inside, and all she said was, quote, a lot going on, end quote. So I believe this was before what happened to the boys. She was cleaning. I know why she was cleaning, because they said her house was filthy. It was filthy. She wasn't worried about the utilities being cut off, but the house was filthy, so maybe she was trying to clean it as best as she could before she got ready to do what she would ultimately do to her children. So if it wasn't a drug withdrawal and it wasn't social media, and if she's not just pure evil, then it was supposed to be the murder S. Remember the murder S. But if you don't go through with the S part of the murder, it's just a murder. And I want to say again, rest in peace to Jayden and Maurice Jr. Rest in peace.
Tom.